welcome aboard, my friends, and welcome in. You found Fishing Without Bait, a podcast dedicated to a life without definitive expectations, where we help people explode into their lives through full impact mindfulness. We talk about people making active choices in their life, using those words I choose, the two most powerful words that you have in your vocabulary. There are no entrance fees. There are no specific requirements, only the honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness to try. A few pixie dust sprinkles of those, and you're on your way. Welcome aboard and let the adventure begin. Greetings, I'm Jim Ellermeyer. I'm a behavioral health therapist, and today is joined, as always, by my good friend, co-host and producer of this program, Mr. Mike.
Hello, Jim. Good to be back on the mic with you again after these few weeks where we've been enjoying the musical stylings and conversations with our good friend Tim Vitullo.
Yes, for those who perhaps didn't catch the podcast with Tim on, guitarist extraordinaire, my hope is that you turn back in and listen to the other fine podcasts that we have. So, Mike, there are so many podcasts out there that talk about the benefits of mindfulness and how to do it and how we should do it. And we're certainly one of those.
Okay? One of the many. But we do it our way, don't we?
However, what we like to do is present examples of unmindfulness and the consequences of. As many people know, I've recently been doing some traveling to North Carolina, Charleston, and I recently returned from Delray Beach, Florida, where we were visiting our good friend, Jake Steele.
Do you remember your wallet this time?
I remember my wallet, but I forgot a few other things.
Oh, no.
So, Mr. Mike, when I booked the flight maybe 3 weeks ago, I was naturally looking for the most convenient and the most economical way to fly. So I booked a flight out of Latrobe on Spirit Airlines, and people out there can scoff as they wish. However, so Thursday afternoon, I drive to Latrobe, park at the Arnold Palmer Regional Airport, and get on the plane and have an uneventful flight down to Fort Lauderdale. And however, when I got the check-in email, time to check in for your flight, which is usually 24 hours before the flight time, I found that I had misremembered and had scheduled to arrive in Pittsburgh.
Wait. Did you booked a flight from Latrobe to Pittsburgh?
No, I booked a flight from Latrobe to Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
However, when I booked the flight from Fort Lauderdale to come back home, I booked it from Fort Lauderdale to Pittsburgh International Airport.
Okay. And your car would have been sitting at Latrobe.
My car was sitting at Latrobe.
I'm very familiar with this. Listen, I have booked flights. Literally, this flight I'm taking this week to Florida for a job, to Orlando. I booked the flight down on Thursday, and then I booked the flight back, and apparently I hit next on the calendar, and I booked the flight back on the corresponding Monday in September. So I actually booked a month-long trip in Florida instead of 3 days.
Enjoy your trip.
Thankfully, I fixed it because I need to be somewhere else in a month. So
fortunately, my son picked me up at the Pittsburgh. And then the next day, my daughter drove me out to Latrobe. But you know what? Neither of them were surprised when I told them.
At least it wasn't your wallet this time, right?
No, it wasn't. Yes, I don't know if we talked about that before, but the last time you and I had made a trip down to Delray.
Oh, I think we made an episode about it. Yes.
Yes.
Where you forgot we were halfway out on an Uber, because I think we were also at that time coming back through Pittsburgh too. Yes. So we wise mind choice took an Uber out, but then you had left your wallet behind, and you Ubered your wallet to the airport, so you could get on the plane.
So one time there was a Seinfeld episode, Mike, about where they, the gang went and they were purchasing this television at this big department store, and they were parked in this parking garage, and they couldn't find their car.
Yes. And something that is probably a little relatable, huh?
Indeed it was. When I got there on Thursday afternoon, I thought, you know what? I'm not too far from Hollywood, Florida, and I think I'll head down to the Hard Rock, where you and I
fantastic place, giant, crazy fountains. Really, the hotel is shaped like a giant guitar.
So I parked in a parking garage, which is huge, and saw the guitar show, walked around, did things, and enjoyed myself. And then I went out and, unfortunately, had not been mindful about where I had parked the vehicle. So keeping in mind that it's in the mid 90s there. And so I'm strolling around this parking garage and up and down and up and down. And I must have walked for an hour and 45 minutes until I was drenched with sweat. And I said, this cannot go on. So I called a Lyft and had him take me back to the hotel. So in the morning, I had to get another Lyft and go right back. And fortunately, this time I asked for help. Imagine that. And gave them make and license plate number of the car I'd rented. And in about 25 minutes, they found it and they drove me there on a golf cart. So that's two classic examples of unmindfulness. The wallet deal was not paying attention on purpose. So we were discussing earlier, Mike, recording videos is your business.
Yes, and it takes a lot of concentration to make sure I haven't missed something. Even just a week ago, we were doing our Awesome Cast on Tuesday, and there's a weird glitch that happens every once in a while where our video recorder doesn't start bringing in audio for some reason. And we went live, and I hadn't checked or noted that the thing wasn't moving, and we're like 5 minutes in the show before people are like, we see in the chat room, hey, we can't hear you. And I'm like, oh, give me a second. And we're back, just a simple thing. But it's such an interesting thing because when we do our live pay-per-views for like MMA or wrestling and things like that, there is a process. And unfortunately, there's a lot of times, depending on who you're working with, how the show's going, what is going sideways. We dealt with a little bit this weekend. Thankfully, it wasn't a live show. It was just kind of pre-taped. But still, there are certain things. We talked about, I was in Dallas and we did multiple shows. I did like 6 shows across 3 days for decent sized wrestling companies, right? And there was something where we went from one major company show to the next and we had less than 90 minutes to set up for it. I didn't even see a script. I didn't have graphics. I said, hey, this guy, hey, you go work with their guy, get your graphics inserted, and that's your job for this show. And let me worry about these things over here. And I already have like enough stuff for 2 or 3 people I'm dealing with, right? And, not that I'm nervous. I've worked with these guys before, but they are like XWE people and things like that. And we get going. We had a little problem with the audio at the beginning, even though we tested it. And when we went live, it wasn't there. And then I realized, like, I did not hit record for the first 3 minutes of this pay-per-view. It went out. It was live. We have all the cameras, but those first couple of moments, I didn't hit the master recording, right? And I was like, I just created a headache for somebody else down the line, I realized. And then little things like that, or this weekend, again, another show where a lot of weird stuff was happening, a lot of things that I had nothing to do with, but it really kind of changed the vibe, right? I'm feeling a little under the weather because my sinuses are kicking in because of the weather changes. So I'm not entirely at 100%. And I was like, okay, 1 match left. I don't know about this battery. I'm going to swap the battery before this match. I go in and then you got to reset all the settings. And then the match starts and there's like 4 entrances. And then I get in and they knock 2 of the people out of the 4-way. And I realize, oh, that record light isn't on. Did I bump it? No, I wasn't recording this whole time. There's other cameras. I'm in editing. I'll figure out how we deal with it. It's not the worst thing. It was the beginning of a match. It was the introductions. It's not the vital. I didn't miss the ending of the match, right? But that's just, your mind isn't all there to, I like to say, close the loop on things, right? That's always a thing for me is if I mess something up, it's usually because I'm distracted by some kind of outside force or somebody's trying to talk to me and then I miss a shot when I'm live directing. Like that happens unfortunately more, and then I just try to work myself around those kinds of situations.
I think the key word you said was being distracted, Mike.
Because again, I'm oftentimes doing, people that have been in far bigger places than I have are say, relax, you're doing the job of 3 people. which I take to heart when certain people tell me that, so when I do get messed up, it's not a big deal. It's going to happen. And then I watch TV and see the same things happen on their shows on major broadcast. It's very interesting to see now that you have that experience. You notice it more.
So quite often, and I think, and again, the key word was distraction.
Mm-hmm.
When part of mindfulness is avoiding distractions.
Absolutely.
And recognizing them. And we've often talked about the concept of disconnecting to connect.
Yes.
And that actually means eliminating distractions.
Well, so for me, I'm doing like what I'm doing right now, right? Like how I'm live switching and talking with you. We do this very particularly. I have the conversation with you and I have a hand on the button, and I'm not doing many other jobs, right? But that's also where things like, hey, if this thing's going a little weird and I don't notice it right away, that's a problem. So when I'm doing a live show, I got 2 sets of headphones on because I'm listening to commentary to make sure they're okay, and I'm talking to my video people that I'm directing. If somebody comes over and asks me a question, I'm broken. Like I'm in a cocoon, right? And then I'll have, depending on where I'm at, I'll have some drunk come over and try to ask me about the music, and because they think I'm the DJ half the time. Or I have a stack of water for my guys, and they ask if they can take one. I shake my head, and they take one anywhere, and I get mad. Or somebody's trying to get me a message about something. I'm like, no, you need to write this down, or I'm giving you a headset to talk to me. That's how we need to do this, or it doesn't get done.
Well, we talk about putting different modes and putting different hats on.
Absolutely, and I have 3 hats on.
Yes,
all the time.
And that certainly leads to distraction.
It does.
Have you ever gone somewhere and ready to go into an event and you left the tickets at home?
I'm always worried I'm going to. I'm always really concerned about what did I forget if I'm going to the airport, if I'm going to that. A lot of times I am, how much I travel, and you've gone into your travel problems. Imagine what I'm doing when I'm doing this for like how many trips a year? I've gone to the airport and forgot to check out of my hotel.
Now that's interesting.
And I just called him. It's like, hey, I forgot to check out when I left, and my app is too far away for me to do it here remotely. And I just returned my car and realized it. Can you make sure I'm checked out there? And like, okay, like that kind of thing. Yeah, there's definitely that. I'm really concerned about. I carry my camera with me at the airport, and I'm always like, I'm going to sit this down and forget about it, right? And then that's why I have Apple tags and everything.
Yes, and you and I have talked before many times about the chatter in our heads and how it distracts us from paying attention to what's right in front of us.
Yep. A lot of things are going on. My wife gets really mad at me when I go to park the car, turn the car off, and it's still in drive. And that's like my brain's not. I'm just like, I'm not here. We're talking about whatever. We're worked up about whatever. I'm thinking about the next thing I have to do when I get out of the car because we're coming to the work. We're coming to home. We have to deal with something next. And I forgot to, like I say, close the loop on the things I'm supposed to, like properly parking and shutting down the car.
That's classic time traveling. Mike.
It is.
Classic.
Mm-hmm.
We're everywhere but here.
Absolutely. And but I've been very noticing of that, and I relay that to the people around me if I'm not, and it's like, listen, I'm not here. I'm sorry. I'm trying, to come back to here.
One of my favorite lines with people is, I need poked.
Yes. Oh yeah. Okay. Or distract me so my head stops going somewhere. I actually did that to Missy on the way out this week. And I was like, head's not good. Distract me. Talk to me. Something. I can't go down this path right now.
Yes.
About something in my head.
Somebody will ask me, could you write me a letter? Could you do this? I said, I most certainly can. However, I need poked.
Yes. Oh, I do that too. Because I'm at shows when I'm doing all the things I talked about. I'm like, hey, can we do this something? I'm like, yes. Message me this week. I have to put it all on them. You know what I mean? I was like, there's no way I'm going to remember from now. Like, no way. Everything is done after this show. My brain, everything. I won't even tell you what the show was. I'm literally watching shows. I turned one on the other day, a show that I did in June. I don't remember any of the matches. I don't even remember. I'm like, I did this. It's like, I can't tell you how your match was. I can't tell you how things looked because I'm not worried about the content. I'm worried about how it looks in the moment. That is your moment stuff. There's your mindfulness stuff. I'm worried about right here, right now, and what's on the screen and what's going out the door. I'm not worried about anything else, what the last match was, anything like that, unless I screwed up and I'm really beating myself up over it.
Well, when you're doing that, you are in producer mode.
Absolutely.
You are in your mode. You're not in enjoying a match mode.
No. And I get excited about it in a moment, but I'm still not going to remember it.
Well, let's just say that a mechanic working on a car, working on the engine, do you think he remembers or she remembers what color the car is?
No, probably not. Probably not. They remember like the spark plugs look like this.
That's correct. And that's paying attention on purpose.
And it's like a mechanical memory, right? It really is. You know, I don't think about what's going on down here below the camera. It just happens. I know when I'm talking, my finger does this. When you're talking, my finger does that. When you're doing something I want to transition, we do a little bit of this. And if you're on audio, I'm sorry, none of that made sense to you.
So one of the purposes of us bringing up these faux pas, errors in judgment, lapses in memory, is because what we want to show people is that no, we are not the gurus, we are not the guiding light of mindfulness. And if anyone tells you they are, take a sideways look at them, please.
It's that expert mind, isn't it? If somebody says, I am the expert and the best at doing this mindfulness thing, that by default is working on somebody's flaws. Like that's unaccepting that that just detaches from it.
Well, for those of you who are interested in this type of topic, we did a podcast a while ago on divergent thinking and help people understand it, think outside the box. And one of the things we talked about there is our educational system in the United States is based on a psychological term called fixed purposefulness, where we teach to the test, okay? And that children or people are taught that saying I don't know is an admittance of weakness. Saying I don't know when you don't know is a perfectly legitimate response.
Yes. Unfortunately, some environments are not accepting of that. And I think that's what gets people kind of messed up a little bit, doesn't it?
I have more trust in somebody who says, I don't know, however, we'll find out. I'd rather have that than somebody shoot off the hip.
This is something I don't know if I've talked about this on here, but when somebody says, hey, we want to do this, this, and this, I'm like, I did not prepare for that. I feel like I talked to you about this after Iowa. I say, we did not prepare for that. I don't know if I have the equipment for it. I can tell you that we will take care of everything else that we need to for the show, and I will make my best effort to do the thing you want me to do if we can. Setting that expectation, setting that, I'm very clear with my clients. Sometimes my wife is like, you should not be so clear with your client about certain things like that. And I was like, listen, I can't be, I got to be honest with them and I got to set their expectations.
We can't give someone false expectations. We can't tell somebody we can do something when we're unsure.
Absolutely.
When somebody is constantly saying, no problem. Yeah, we can do that.
And sometimes it doesn't come up in the production meeting, so I don't have any information. So,
right.
What do you do then, right?
So again, the purpose of this conversation was to let people out there know that, yes, we're human also. But here's the deal. When I found out that I created that, I didn't get excited. I knew there was an answer. I knew there was a way out, so I focused on the solution.
Yes.
And that night when I was strolling around for an hour and 45 minutes in the blistering heat and realized that continuing to attempt to find out that automobile that night in a dark garage was futile, and the best part, discretion was the better part of valor there. So
And it isn't great that you do live in an age where you can just pull out your phone and get back to your hotel.
Amazingly wonderful.
We are in so many ways so fortunate to live in 2022. As I like to say, I think I may have said on here, I love living in the future, and that's where we are. Where whether it be, oh no, I forgot something, I can get something sent to my hotel tomorrow. Right? Oh no, I don't know where my car is. At least I can get to my hotel without much fuss, right? I mean, these options are there in most of these situations.
For those of you who wish to return to yesteryear, to
Mm-hmm.
the good old days, they were not the good old days.
And I also want to mention, it looks like our discussion about divergent thinking is on episode 326. It's your turn, from our February 1st episode of this year.
That's right. When we tell people it's your turn.
Mm-hmm.
When you ask who's next, we raise our hand and we say, it's my turn.
Mm-hmm.
So for everyone out there, it's your turn, and that you're important.
The quote from the episode is, the phrase, "I don't know," opens up your world.
Yes.
Yes. So
would you repeat that again, Mike?
The phrase, "I don't know," opens up your world.
It opens up your world into that concept of having a beginner's mind.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to tell you a little funny story at the end if you're focusing on my newest tattoo.
Look at that if you're on video, right? And if you're not seeing, you really remember he had this little this design in the middle of the top of his hand is now extending down your fingers a little bit. And I don't know if you're hearing the rumbling in the background. We're getting a pretty good storm during this recording.
But as most everyone out there knows by now, I have these lotus mandalas on the above my hand.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to get my fingers filled out. So I'm sitting on a park bench down in Boca Raton, sitting there, and a couple of young guys come walking past, sauntering past. I'm listening to earbuds, jostling my head around a little bit, and the young guy taps me and says, "Hey man, love your tats." I said, "Thank you, I appreciate that." And he goes, "How long you been out?" And I said, "Out," and he said, "A prison." And I said, "I'm not in there today, brother." And he gave me a fist bump and walked on. Okay.
As long as you didn't fist bump with your fresh tattoo hand, right?
So, I'm just interested to know what people's concept of this particular new ink would be to people out there. And also, Mike, what we'd like to hear is some situations of unmindfulness.
Mm-hmm.
Unmindfulness where, and how you dealt with it.
Absolutely.
Rather than beat yourself up.
Yep.
So at the end of every podcast, we offer a pre-prescription. Fruits, nuts, and vegetables. Unplug your television and take up fishing. And for a truly mindful experience, we suggest that you fish without bait. Do a kindness for yourself and do a kindness for another. Forgive yourself and forgive another. Invite joy into your life and make beautiful choices. Till all are free, none are free. Namaste, my friends. Namaste, my friends.
Please check out our website at fishingwithoutbait.com, where you can listen to the show, comment on our discussions, and find out where you can subscribe to our podcast. If you're interested in flying the colors of Fishing Without Bait, click the shop icon on our website. We have clothing, mugs, cell phone cases, and so much more. Show the world that you fish without bait. This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.